Okay, I'm going to make a video today about sections 2.2, 2.3, 2.5. 2.3, oh, and once again, you can find these handouts listed under class notes and handouts, or class note handout or something. This is all under course content in Blackboard. I hope the videos are helping. You might want to send me feedback about the videos. If you're watching them and you have any suggestions, shoot me an email and let me know. If they're not really helping, then, I guess I could just stop them if they're not helping, but I have gotten a few emails that says that they're getting some help from them. But remember, it's optional whether you watch them or not. Okay, section 2.2, if you print this handout or if you just take a look at it, it says the name of this section is the algebra of functions. And it says functions can be added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided. Well, we know that, and I think you're going to find that to be pretty easy. Notation, I've got some notes here about all this f of x, g of x is kind of scary looking, but don't let it intimidate you because, we've talked about this. F of x is just simply a little math problem. G of x is just a little math problem. And you'll be asked to add sometimes, subtract sometimes, multiply, and you'll have to remember and use FOIL, and then divide. The hardest part, if you find any of this to be difficult, it's going to be finding the domain, especially if you're still struggling with that from section 1.2. But just remember that restricted domains, domains that are not going to be negative infinity to infinity, happen when you have a fraction with a variable in the denominator or a square root with a variable under the radical. Every other time it's negative infinity to infinity. Okay, so we're going to start with number 1. I'm going to move the handout so I'll have more board space. But number 1 gives us f of x equals x minus 3. And it gives us g of x being equal to x squared minus x. And it says find f plus g of 3. That's what you're asked to do, and they give you a blank to fill in for your answer. Okay, now there's 2 ways to do this, but I'm going to show you the way that I think most people like. Since they have a number here for x, f plus g of 3, I would just go ahead and put that 3 in the f function. F of 3 would be 3 minus 3, which would be 0. Put that up here in the blank to add to whatever you get when you put 3 into the g math problem. 3 squared minus 3 is going to be 9 minus 3, which is going to be 6. Put that up there, add your 2 results, and 6 is what you will type in to MyLabs Plus. Of course, you'll choose option A. F plus g of 3 is equal to 6. And you're out there thinking, I'm kind of like this section, and I think you will, until they ask you to do domain, or they do not give you a number. Okay, number 2 asks you to find f minus g of 0. And the math problems are f of x equals x squared minus 13. G of x is 10 minus x. Okay, just like I did last time, I'm going to put 0 in where there's an x. I'm going to put it in the f first. I'm going to do f of 0. and I'm going to get negative 13. But now this time you're being asked to subtract the answer you get when you put 0 in to the g of x. Well, you're going to get 10, so it'll be negative 13 take away 10. Well, the answer to that is going to be negative 23. That's what will go in the blank, and once again, that's going to be choice A because you found an answer. Number 3, they're asking you to find g plus h of 7. And here are the math problems. H of x equals x plus 3. G of x is equal to the square root of x minus 7. So you put 7 into both places. H of 7 is going to be 10. Put that up here and add it to whatever you get for the g of 7. Square root of 7 minus 7. Well, 7 minus 7 is 0, so the square root of 0 is still 0. And if you add 10 and 0, you get 10. Okay. At this point, I'm going to skip a little bit because I think you've got that. If they give you a number, it's pretty easy. You just plug the number in. But I want to go to number 5, just because I'll put the handout up here for just a second. Number 5 is really reviewing domain. They're giving you two functions, an f of x, which is 2x minus 5, and a g of x, which is the square root of x plus 2. And they're saying find the domain of f plus g. And this time, if you notice, it's just f plus g of x. They didn't give you a number to put in. So, you're going to have to take your f of x math problem, and you're going to have to add it to the g of x math problem. And as you take a look at those, addition can only happen if you have like terms. These are not like. A square root is not the same as just a plain old 2x minus 5. So, your answer, and of course you don't have to type the answer to f plus g of x, but I'm going to show you what the answer is. You would simply just put the g of x here and the f of x here with an add sign in between them. Now, what MyLabs Plus is actually asking for is the domain of that f plus g of x. Okay, now when you take a look at that, do you see a fraction? No. Do you see a square root? Yes, you do, right there. So we learned this in section 1.2. If you have a square root, you take that expression that's under the radical out, and you say, hey, you've got to be positive or equal to 0. So you set it greater than or equal to 0. Solve that and you'll find out that x is going to have to be greater than or equal to 2. And it says right in interval notation, in fact they give you some choices here, but first I'm going to show you, you always have a bracket when you have a square root. So it'll be 2 to infinity parentheses. And as you take a look at your choices here, that's answer B. Bracket 2 to infinity is answer B. Now, number 6. f of x is equal to x squared minus 7. G of x is equal to 14 take away x. Find, now they're asking you to find three things. Let's just start with the first one. Find f minus g of negative 4. Now I've demonstrated how to do this. You simply put the negative 4 into the f of x, and just for time purposes, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit, and I'm going to kind of just do this with the hand waving. If you put negative 4 in there for x and you square it, you'll have positive 16, take away 7 is 9. They want you to subtract what you get when you put negative 4 in here for g of x. So put a negative 4 right there, and you'll have 14 subtract negative 4, which is 18. So your answer to the A part is it's going to be answer A, but what you're going to put in the blank for f minus g of negative 4 is 9 minus 18, which is negative 9. Okay, so that was back to some of that stuff we started with. Now, the second part of this is find f minus g of x. This is the second part of this question. They do not give us a number to put in. I'm just going to go ahead and give you a heads up that we usually ask something like this on the midterm and most likely on the final exam because of the subtraction. A lot of students mess up when they're subtracting functions. So, we don't have a number to put in, so we're simply going to write down f of x, and then we're going to subtract the g of x. Now notice what I'm doing when I said I'm going to subtract the g of x. I'm putting the g of x in parentheses with the subtraction on the outside. Why? Because you have to subtract both of these items. That subtraction has to be distributed. So you're going to have x squared minus 7 minus 14 with a positive x. Why is it positive x? Because you have the negative distributed to another negative, which makes it positive. Now combine like terms, and your answer is going to be x squared plus x minus 21. Put that in the blank for the second part. Like on your handout, you would put that right here in the blank. X squared plus x minus 21. And then the next part of number 6, it's like number 6 never ends. The next part of number 6 is to ask you, what is f divided by g? What is f divided by g of x? Oh, you're going to love this because you put the f in the numerator just like it says. You put g in the denominator just like it says, and then you're done. You cannot divide two expressions like that. I mean, you just can't. That's the answer to the third part. Now, number 6 continued. It says select the correct choice and fill in the answer box. What is the domain of f divided by g of x? So the fourth and final part is, what is the domain of this division answer? Now the reason they ask you is because it's a fraction. And you have to worry about the denominator. 14 minus x, what? Can't be 0. Why not? Because you can't divide by 0. Move the negative x to the other side so that it becomes a positive x. And there's your domain. 14 cannot be x. Domain can be anything except 14. So I'm going to write that as negative infinity to 14, parentheses, united with 14 to infinity. And that, by the way, is what a domain is going to look like when you have a fraction. It's always going to be a long drawn out, it's going to have the unite, it's going to have all parentheses. Number 7. They give you two functions in number 7, f of x and g of x. And it simply says, what is the domain of f minus g of x? Okay, let's go ahead and take f of x. Once again, when we subtract, let's put that 2x plus 3 in parentheses because that subtraction has to be distributed. I just said that for number 6, part 1, or part 2, and I'm saying it again in number 7. Distribute the subtraction. You'll have x squared minus 36 minus 2x minus 3. Combine like terms and you'll have x squared minus 2x minus 39. Now what's the domain of that? This is not the answer they want. They want to know what is the domain of f minus g of x. Do you see a fraction? Do you see a square root? The answer to both of those is no, so we're back to a domain of negative infinity to infinity.